Dear friends at Longebility, once again, it is truly a great pleasure to be here with you. And look, you are already in a much sunnier light than I am right now. Here in Locarno, we are all still looking a bit pale, but you clearly already have the beautiful sun at home. It is an honor to interview Fabio Marchesi today. I think this is the third interview we've done together on my channel, Longebility, which I remind you, and those listening to us already know. It's a channel I dedicate to helping people over 55, 60, 65, and then reaching 70, 80 people who want a healthy, wise, and happy longevity, to have tools, information, and to engage with experts on topics that can be interesting for those who want not just to live long, but to live beautifully, energetically, and vibrantly. Happy, content,
healthy.
So who better than the renowned researcher Fabio Marchesi, who was even personally invited to speak at the United Nations back in 2016. An honor that truly highlights his expertise.
Also in 2014 and 2015, 3 times.
Right, 3 times, sorry. If I missed a couple of times, with all the things you do, it's easy to miss something. On the very International Day of Happiness,
you
were there speaking at the UN. I imagine it was an incredible feeling. Amazing, but did they listen to you with interest? Also,
because up until 2016, the UN's credibility was extremely high. After what happened 6 years ago, well, those places aren't as credible anymore. But the emotion was incredible. I finally really understood exactly why people usually read along when they speak out loud.
First of all,
yes, that is true, because I had previously taken part in many other important events throughout my life. But when you finally get there in person, no, it is truly such an incredibly powerful and overwhelming emotion. You're speaking to the world, and so...
But I carefully watched your performance, and you really made a truly remarkable and lasting impression on everyone. Also because you had to handle some incredibly challenging and complex topics.
I engaged in a deep discussion regarding physics, the soul, and awareness. To put it quite simply, these are the subjects that I hold most dear to my heart, and they are far less likely to face any form of censorship, because they're extremely careful there, the way people speak in certain places, so there are all these boundaries.
Fabio Marchesi is an engineer. I took some notes, an inventor, independent researcher, and Italian author. I know you've written more than a dozen books, including one that's actually today's topic, to honor what I call God, the sun, which in all cultures has been called Ra, Surya, and so on. You wrote this book. I have the first edition, with the cover, in fact, with
the mirror.
Now, I know that you redid it in a new version, but still it's
the new edition. So look, I'm here because the sun is actually incredibly good for you, but they really don't want you to know it.
Exactly.
But the first cover was nicer. Actually, I'll tell the publisher now. Next edition, let's go back to the mirror.
And today, exactly. With this interview, I really want to try to help all those people who feel a kind of uncertainty about the sun to understand /reverence /almost fear. Because people have said, the sun is bad for you, the sun makes you age, the sun gives you skin cancer, the sun is not good, the sun this, the sun that, all sorts of things. So let's try to clarify this very important topic, especially since we're approaching the season, the good one. Let me finish introducing you. For over 30 years, you have been involved in photobiomodulation, neuroscience, personal growth, and the development of human potential. You hold various international patents in the field of therapeutic technologies based on light. You have developed innovative devices used for well-being and the improvement of biological functions. Your research activity has led you to explore the relationship between light, energy, consciousness, and health, topics that are at the heart of your work. I could go on and say more things, couldn't I? I'll just mention that you founded the Enthusiasmologia project, which is somewhat the common thread, probably, running through your various activities, all revolving around, in short, those who complain are thieves. I remember that from one of your courses. So it is really about making sure that you are choosing to live your life as passionately as possible every single day, To give you an example, I actually just finished participating in a wonderful spiritual retreat this past weekend, which was thoughtfully titled The Art of Dying. That was actually very interesting. At one point this past Sunday afternoon, we even went to practice some meditation in a quiet cemetery.
But you didn't commit suicide, did you?
No, no, no. On the contrary, actually, it is quite different, because when you truly realize the immense joy you can feel from simply seeing a beautiful tree, the golden light, a little singing bird, a kind person, or even just eating a crisp apple, everything changes. It provides you with a profound sense of inspiration for your daily life instead of simply existing in a passive manner.
Let's begin.
Then, with this theme of
Let's start with the most compelling subject then.
a big misunderstanding, Fabio, a big misunderstanding.
The great deception, the colossal lies that have been deliberately fabricated, starting from the assumption that they treat us all like idiots. At this point in time, it has become abundantly clear that it is solely, exclusively, and without any other motivation intended to serve narrow economic interests. These are deeply shameful and utterly squalid practices, which form the very foundation of the staggering and immeasurable levels of destruction inflicted daily on people, the environment, and the natural world. So I remember in the 1970s, in the 1980s, when this campaign against the sun began, when people really started to speak badly about the sun, saying things that have now become common knowledge. Everyone is terrified. They all think about protecting themselves. I remember that I was young at the time, but it seemed so absurd to me. How is it possible that they tell people the sun is harmful when all life, everything that exists thanks to the sun? All the energy on the planet comes from the sun. I mean, when we eat something, the energy that nourishes our body is solar energy. I mean, I ask myself, how is it possible that they go so far as to say the sun is harmful when it's the primary source of everything that's alive, of everything that exists on the planet? It just seems so absurd to me.
But Fabio, excuse me, let me jump in to add a bit of dynamism to the interview. But has the sun changed in the last 40 to 50 years?
But what has changed?
It's the ozone hole.
So do we want to start with that insult to our intelligence, the ozone hole? Shall we start with that? So first of all, the ozone hole is in Antarctica. Where is Antarctica?
Down there at the very bottom.
How far is Antarctica from Switzerland?
I don't know. It must be 15, 18, 20,000 kilometers.
So if the ozone hole is there, that means UVC rays get through, right? That's how they put it. That's what they told us. This joke about the ozone layer being a protective shield. So the protective shield broke and things get through.
I can't hear you anymore.
These harmful UVC rays. What? Did you lose me? Okay.
And so
Now I'll explain this thing to you here. Can you hear me badly? Is it my connection? Unstable?
you keep cutting in and out every now and then, but let's go ahead and try to move forward anyway.
What should we do? Should I try changing the microphone? No, because since these are sensitive topics, if I get, wait, to your speaker, the microphone, I'll try changing the microphone. Let's see, now I've changed the microphone. Can you hear me better?
Yes, I hear your voice in a slightly different tone, but I can hear you well.
But you can hear me, the conversation, you can hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
So we were told that there was this protective shield that broke the ozone hole. So these harmful ultraviolet rays pass through the ozone hole. And since the hole is over Antarctica, and Antarctica is 20,000 kilometers away from us, already this should make us wonder what the problem is. It's not like the ultraviolet rays pass through the ozone hole, then start turning 90 degrees and travel 20,000 kilometers just to hit me. It's already a bit of an absurd idea. But the construction of this lie is truly insane, because you need to know about this ozone. Why is there ozone? Let's ask ourselves a question. Why is there ozone in the stratosphere? There's ozone at about 20 kilometers of altitude. Because the sun produces a wide range of electromagnetic waves, it produces many, but not all of them reach the Earth's surface. Many electromagnetic waves stop before reaching us. Among the various electromagnetic waves that get stopped earlier are precisely the UVC rays.
Okay, that sounds good. It seems like I'm having trouble hearing your audio again. Now it's working.
Honestly, I don't know what else I can do because I'm connected with fiber here. I've always done everything this way. And
Yes, let's go on. Let's try to continue.
these are sensitive topics. And when I talk about sensitive topics, I'm here. The interferences must be just coincidences. No, but really, this whole ozone hole thing is such a mess they made that I just can't hold back, Arthur. You should know that many types of electromagnetic waves come from the sun, including UVC, but UVC rays don't reach the Earth's surface. Why? Because when an electromagnetic wave vibrating at the frequency of UVC approaches planet Earth, if it encounters an oxygen molecule, what happens? The UVC basically decays upon hitting the oxygen molecule. It breaks the oxygen molecule, which is O2. A single oxygen atom is unstable, so it attaches itself to other oxygen molecules, and that's how ozone is formed. In other words, ozone is the result of the decay of UVC rays, which can never reach the Earth's surface, precisely because the closer an ultraviolet ray gets to the Earth's surface, the higher the percentage of oxygen in the air. So ozone is not some kind of protective shield created by the Creator 6,000 years ago that has now been broken. And so from that moment on, the sun became harmful. That's a colossal load of nonsense. Ozone is simply the result of UVC rays being blocked. When they encounter oxygen, they cease to exist and trigger this reaction that produces ozone. The question is, why isn't there ozone in Antarctica? Because Antarctica is in darkness. Because Antarctica, since the sun is here and the Earth is rotating, there's the procession of eclipses. So when the Earth is tilted, it means there's an area in Antarctica that's always in darkness, and that's where there's no ozone. But why isn't there ozone? Why isn't there ultraviolet? In my book, The Healing Light, I actually start from this very thing. How was it possible to deceive 8 billion people? Even today, I still come across this. University professors, doctors, the ozone hole, excuse me, but go and check these things for yourselves. They tell us lies that are so absurd, but this one is truly so absurd. Because obviously, what was the business behind it? The sunscreen business. The sunscreen business is a multi-billion-dollar industry that was born precisely from this joke about the ozone hole. I really wonder how people can believe such nonsense. Here. If we look at the actual measurements, there are astronomical centers that have been recording the amount of ultraviolet rays reaching us from the sun for the past 70 years. The amount of ultraviolet rays coming from the sun has actually shown a slight decrease. There has been a lower amount of ultraviolet rays arriving, not a higher amount. And especially the ultraviolet rays, which are the ones that can't reach the Earth's surface. That's the reason why. Because if there's oxygen, the oxygen turns into ozone, but the ultraviolet rays don't reach us.
The bright morning sun remains exactly the same. Did I lose you? And just like that, now you finally returned home.
The sun has been like this for billions of years, and for billions more, it will stay this way. It hasn't changed. We're the ones who have changed. We've become much more foolish. We believe the nonsense we're told. By now, it's clear that there are industries that control not only science, but all information as well. So they can prove whatever they want to people, and then the newspapers follow by repeating lies over and over. And then in the end, everyone believes them. So we need to be careful here. So I can tell you this thing, which might be enlightening. I filed my first patent when I was 22 years old for an ultraviolet device to prevent the spread of AIDS. I'll just tell you that back then there was no internet. I used to spend my days in university libraries doing research because it was basically an ultraviolet system designed to sanitize, to destroy the AIDS virus before it comes into contact with the cell, before it enters the cell and then starts causing damage. What surprised me was the fact that there were a lot of scientific studies that had been conducted, for example, starting from the study of couples where maybe the husband had AIDS, even at an advanced stage, and the wife was healthy. And they studied how these cases of immunity could exist. There were diaries, for example, where the wife would record how many times they had sex without protection, how many times they kissed with tongues, how many times she drank from his glass. They recorded every type of intimate experience, every kind of contact that could have led to infection. And since there were people who were super immune, and inside, in my naivety, remember I was young, I thought, how wonderful they're trying to understand. How can someone be super immune so that humanity can be freed from the disease? No, I mean, they were trying to figure out how to be super immune just to prevent us from knowing how to become super immune ourselves. I mean, do you get it? It's chilling. Feynman said it too, one of the greatest geniuses in human history, one of the most intelligent people. In the 70s, he wrote that there are scientists who work secretly like madmen to create new diseases for which only they have the cure. These are Feynman's words from the 70s. So what did they discover? That all cases of superimmunity were associated with people who had a lifestyle that included daily exposure to sunlight. When a person is out in the sunlight every day, whether because they are a farmer or because they enjoy it, or because, after all, just because someone lives in Miami doesn't mean they're ever in the sun if they stay shut inside with the air conditioning and LED lights. Someone could be in Finland, but always be outside. As soon as there's a bit of sun, they go out to get it. So really, it's all about habits.